In the words of legendary Sportsline anchor Jim Taddy, yes, guy. Thanks for checking out your Sportsline podcast here on CHCH. I'm Bubba O'Neil. Now, under normal circumstances, we like to shine the spotlight on teams, athletes, officials, executives that hail from Hamilton, Halton, and Niagara. But today, and every once in a while, we bring to you the Sportsline Square Off. Well, this Brock University sports management grad quickly came to the conclusion that being in front of the camera was his calling. He honed his skills at the Weather Network, Global TV, and Rogers, but in 2011, he invaded the hearts of those who watch CHCH, climbing the ladder from the insanely timed Morning Live First Edition program to the adventure reporter role to his present gig as the Morning Live anchor, where he covers the likes of news and entertainment, but most important, sports. My pal, Tim Bolan, sits right beside me here. Great to have you here, bud.
Hey, buddy. Hey, man. Hey.
What's up, buddy?
How are you, pal? This is awesome. But this is also weird because we have worked together for a dozen years, but we never see each other.
So people don't understand that. They're like, hey, what's Bolen like?
Yeah, we don't see each other.
I'm like, I don't see the guy. We live completely different lives for the most part, especially when I was doing the 6 and 11.
Yeah.
This gives us an opportunity to catch up and talk on sports. In fact, our communication for sports was on social media.
Yeah, pretty much. Or just an email here or there, or talking about this, or thanks for providing that. So it's cool, and congrats. That looks great. It's good to be. It's weird to be on this side.
Yeah. Oh yes, for sure.
Talking, but let's have some fun because there's some stuff to talk about.
There certainly is. But before we get to that, and I don't think we really get an opportunity to really kind of dive into Tim Bolan, what makes him like your whole TV journey.
You're going deep here.
Well, I think people are interested, and I think that's what we like to do here on the Sportsline Podcast is kind of get into who you are, what made you who you are, and you've had an interesting. You were acting at one time. Your TV journey is exceptional to get you to where you are now.
Failed actor, big time. I was horrible at it. I've told this story a few times on our show too because there was one time I think it was like Ocean's 11, and I watched that movie. I'm like, I want to do that. That seems pretty cool. Seems like they were having a pretty good time because I was out of school. I had taken sports management at Brock University. I had moved to Toronto. I was in a sales job and just not really liking it. So then, maybe I'll do some acting stuff because I guess as a kid, I was kind of always interested in that, but just never pursued it. Mm-hmm. So then got into it and got an agent. And then I went out to a couple auditions and then I started getting a couple of things. Mm-hmm. And there was just like, well, this is pretty easy. And I remember then I went like 0 for 96 at auditions. So I was just like, maybe I'm not as good as I thought I was. But I was always good at like hosting, always good at being myself. Mm-hmm. So then I went back to school I had my undergrad at sports management, and I went to Seneca, and I took an accelerated like summer program for just journalism.
Right.
Yeah, and then from there I got a job at the Weather Network, which was fantastic because they just kind of throw you in front of the camera and say, talk.
Yes.
Which is just such a great breeding ground, just to be able to gab because it's just working those muscles, right? Working those the timing muscles down. And then from there, I've had a lot of cool gigs, but it's coming up on I think 13 years here at CHCH.
Well, and it all started, and I did call it the insanely timed first edition Morning Live program. Can you just give our listeners and viewers aspect of what it was like to anchor that program?
Yeah, what was it?
Based on the timing?
Well, it was the earliest morning show in Canada. That was our claim to fame. Myself and Jacqueline Colville at the time, we went on the air at 4 a.m. 4 a.m. because they thought, and listen, here's the thing that was cool about it. We were on the air for 2 years. And there is people that would watch because there is a lot of people that are up early. There's like in this town, in Hamilton, a lot of shift workers.
That's right.
You know what I mean? A lot of people working odd hours. So we did get a good little following because it could be a little bit looser.
Right.
You know what I mean? Yeah, you wanted to get the news out.
4 in the morning, better be.
Totally, it has to be, right? And because all of these stations in the States, they start at 4. They all start at 4, and it has just a looser kind of a feel to it. So it was a lot of fun. We did have tons of fun, and again helped work myself into the morning show stuff. And then when that came to an end, was able to jump on board the main show. And actually, even a year after that, I started doing some sports chats, and then that's kind of been able to continue on for 12 years. And it's been really cool because I just see myself as, I'm not a sports expert. I'm not the biggest like stats guy, but I love a good story. And in sports, the best storytelling is in sports because it's not written. You go into something, it's unwritten until the end of it, and it's the unpredictability.
It really is like a reality TV.
For sure.
Right? And just so many things can happen to that. Just before we get into the sports thing here, and your love for sports, I mean, that adventure role that you had on Morning Live, I think that kind of introduced you to people here in this area because you got out. You did different things. And one thing I will always give you credit for, you were never afraid to do anything.
Thanks, man. I do miss it because now being at the desk, you're not able to get out into the community as much and see faces and chat with people. But Emily's taken it over and she's doing a great job. I always wanted to. Somebody on TV that I like is somebody that I would know if I met them, they'd be the exact same person. That's the ultimate compliment somebody can give me is saying, you're the exact same guy that I watch.
I agree with you.
You know what I mean? That's the ultimate for me. So to be able to, listen, you know me, I'm a goof. I'm just you know what I mean? Like I have to be serious when I want to be serious, but like I like to fool around and have a good time. And that's that's what morning TV's all about too, right? Yeah, you got to get the information out there and you got to get weather and traffic out there, but then you got to have a little bit of fun too. So to be able to be out in the community, and you don't realize how big this community is. Sure, there's Hamilton, but then there's the whole Niagara region and then spreading into Burlington, into Oakville. And then there's other people in other areas too, that outside of our real catchment area that watch and enjoy the show and enjoying the kind of the cool things that we got to do, and the rolling with Bolen will always live on. And
oh my goodness,
I do miss it.
I mean, the zip lining at Niagara Falls, having the Bulldogs on your program, getting on the ice every once in a while, the things that you did, really, you did a great job representing the station. Now, what I need to know is where this love for sports come from. I know you talked about you love the storylines, but was this something that happened when you were a kid? Did you fall in love with sports right away?
Yeah. So I had a younger brother. We always called him the Golden Boy. So I'm the older brother. There's 4 kids altogether. 2, my older sister, myself, my younger brother, and then my younger sister. And we had an uncle that was my mom's youngest brother, my Uncle Dan, who was around, like, he wasn't the same age as us, but not that much older than us. And when he would be coming over, we'd always be playing baseball in the front yard because we're farm kids, right? So I grew up at a farm. So anything that you could do not to be trying to get out doing chores.
Okay.
So if it was on the front ice rink, or if it's playing ball in the yard, the love of sports came from that, and that's and then baseball, like listening to baseball on the radio or the summers, the soundtrack of the summer, Tom and Jerry, you know what I mean, the soundtrack of the summer, and then and then Brock University had the sports management program. I just had to. I thought it was just really neat to be able to do it. And even like you said, Jim Taddy, because we were farm kids, so we didn't have the TSNs at the time of the at that time. So it was Sportsline.
That's right.
It was with Mark and Jim. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And then Gene later on, and all of those.
What they did in that time was, I mean, it will stand in the test of time as really Canadian sports TV history.
Yeah. So it's pretty neat to be able to use the title still here.
It is. I consider it an honor, quite honestly. And even in the other incarnation, working with Hampshire. In fact, you know what? I don't know. I can't say this for sure, but I did a lot of work with Jim at TSN Radio 1150 when that was still here in Hamilton, and obviously I did lots of work here with Hebsy. I don't know if there's anyone that did work with both. I know lots of people that did work with either.
Yeah.
I worked with both at some time in my life. And boy, they couldn't be any more different. They couldn't, but I could see why, as I watched at the time, what an amazing chemistry. We know that about television. Chemistry is key.
For sure. And what they were able to do with sports highlights and just, you want to get the information out, but you want to make it entertaining too, because that's why people are watching. You know what I mean? The entertainment factor and the authenticity of the chemistry is key. And I think I'm so lucky to have Annette because we get along really well and can work off each other. And same with Brian.
Husband and wife almost.
Really? That's what it, because you do spend the work wife because you do spend so much time together. That's so important because people can see through that.
Absolutely. Let's talk sports.
Okay.
Let's do it.
A few things going on.
All right, a couple of things. All right, folks, you've seen this format before. It was a huge hit, like I talked about with my former co-host, Hebsy. Let's get to it, Tim.
Okay.
Currently, as we speak right now, Leafs defenseman Morgan Rielly is having his in-person hearing at the NHL's office. In fact, it's been changed. Apparently, it's now being done by Zoom for cross-checking Senators forward Ridly Greig after scoring that goal on Saturday night. Big slap shot. The fans go crazy. Maple Leaf fans are upset. What are your expectations of what could be some type of punishment from the National Hockey League?
So he's going to get suspended. We all know he's going to be suspended. Does he get suspended for 6 games for like what that in-person hearing is said to bring? I think that's too much. Watching the game live and seeing that happen in real time, as a Leaf fan, something had to be done there because as a hockey player too, you know, that's just something that you don't really see. And why is Ridly Greig doing that? You know what I mean? So
why is he doing what?
But like the slap shot into the net.
So
it's like I don't know. It's showing the other team up.
Is it showing?
This is me personally. Like this is me playing hockey for 30 years of my life, watching hockey for just that same amount of time, if not more. You don't do that. You just don't do it. You just throw it into the net. Why are you taking a big clapper into the net? You already won the game. What are you doing that for?
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, does it matter if he dribbled it in?
Yeah.
Did it matter if he shot it from half or shot it from the blue line?
It does.
Right, and it's his net. It's their building. You know what? I might side with you a little bit there if this was at Scotiabank Arena, but I mean, does that deserve the two-hander across the net?
Well, here's the thing. So what's the difference is, so he cross-checked him in the neck. That's where you can't go. What if he just dropped the gloves and started fighting him? So what's the punishment there? Right. The punishment that he's getting is he almost took his head off. You know what I mean? Now, there has been a long line of these type of incidents in the past. I remember Austin Matthews did it to Bolen a couple of years ago.
Oh, right here in Hamilton.
Right, yeah. Oh, that was the outdoor game.
Yes.
Right, yeah, the outdoor game. And he got 2 games for it. Now, I understand that was a quote-unquote a hockey play. This is not a hockey play. This is extracurricular activities that he partook in. But at the same time, too, Leafs Nation, if nothing happened there, what would have been said? If Greig just skated back to the bench,
the game would be over.
No.
It'd be 5-3.
Leaf Nation would have freaked out.
Is it because it's the Senators?
No, because they didn't do anything. Remember, like.
How about beating the Senators every once in a while?
Wow.
They beat you all the time.
We can get into that, but they have a problem beating bad teams, and the Senators are not a good team right now, and they need to be able to beat that team. That's a whole other topic.
Right.
He will get suspended. I think it should be 3 games. 6 games seems a pretty excessive, and if it is 6 games, why is it 6 games?
Because he took his stick and he hit him across.
No, I understand that. I understand that he did that, but there's also a number of other incidents similar to that that you're not getting 6 games for.
It was just such intent. Like, there was such intent. Like, he knew what he was doing. And Morgan Rielly, I mean, give him credit. Like, a guy that could win a Lady Byng trophy. But he clearly lost his mind. And I think there has to be some type of punishment.
Yeah, there should be. 3 games. You think it should be 6 games?
I really do.
I think it should be 6 games he should get for that?
He should know better. First of all, he should know better.
Know better what?
Not to act like a moron, quite honestly. Like, that was a moron. Like, that was not a. I mean, you talk about sportsmanship. Yeah. I keep hearing, that wasn't a sportsmanlike thing that Ridly Greig did. What? The stick to the head? Like, it was an all-out attack at the end of a game. Yeah,
you could argue that he was going for the shoulder and then the stick went up into his neck. Okay, that's all. Like, I understand. He just wanted to have some sort of retribution,
right?
For because listen, this Ridly Greig kid is like. He is a kid, but he's a bit of a pest too, and he's doing things that that he wants to get the other team a little bit riled up, and
okay, just answer me this.
He knew when he did that,
right?
that something was going to happen.
That something was going to happen.
He knew that the Leafs are not going to deal with that.
Is this you as Leafs Nation speaking? I'm completely Switzerland here, right? You know, I'm not a Leaf fan. Yeah. In fact, I'm probably more of a Sens fan because of the owner and the general manager, who I happen to like, and I know you like as well too. But is this you as a Leafs fan speaking, or a hockey fan?
I would say, I know just from my experience playing hockey and covering hockey that when have you ever seen that? You don't see that. You see that at the All-Star game, as Austin Matthews said yesterday, but you don't see them. You just shoot the puck into the net. Okay, you don't fire up a big clapper to put it into the net. That's not a thing you do. Now, you don't cross-check a guy in the neck afterwards either. So that's where the 3-game suspension should come from.
All right, let's move on. We got some Super Bowl leftovers, and I know it's a couple of days after, but there was really so much that happened in that game, and so much conversation that seemed to happen, you know, in terms of, as we always do in a championship game, especially in football, we talk about greatness, and of course, Patrick Mahomes, the fine quarterback for the Kansas City Chiefs. I mean, the guy now is a 3-time Super Bowl winner. He's the first in 20 years to go back-to-back as well, too. The comparisons are ready with Tom Brady. Are they valid? Is he even a top 5 quarterback of all time?
Yeah, this is I think this is such an American thing. Like, immediately when something happens, you got to compare them to the greats. Like, that's been happening with LeBron and MJ and the top 5 all-time NBA players. I don't know the obsession with what that is, but when you look at him, he has something. And what that something is, he knows how to win. And watching that game, you knew it was 10-0, 10-3 at the half, and you knew they had the Niners had to score more. You knew that they had opportunities to score more because you knew Mahomes, who hadn't played that well. The offense was not playing that well in that first half.
His first interception of the playoffs.
Yeah, but then you just knew that he was going to do it. And then you knew in overtime that he was going to drive 75 yards and score the touchdown. You knew, just like you knew when Tom Brady was doing it. That's why you can never bet against a player like Patrick Mahomes, because there's just something in them that they will do whatever it takes to get it done. And he was able to get it done.
You know, and I'm with you there. I think the comparisons are just they're out of hand. Like, I mean, Tom Brady went to 10 Super Bowls and he won 7.
And he beat Patrick Mahomes.
And he beat Patrick Mahomes along the time too. Right. So I guess they are kind of saying of a generation, and they're trying to separate it that way.
But what is the obsession there? Why? It's a lot of fodder. You know what I mean? It's a topic of conversation on this type of podcast and all these type of different podcasts, because it's a good conversation, because it can be heavily debatable.
I don't think he's even close. Like,
you don't think close?
Well, no. How about a Montana? 4 for 4.
Okay. 4 for 4.
4 for 4. MVP in 3 of those 4 games, and doesn't throw an interception in those 4 Super Bowls. Okay, so he's ahead of him. What about the likes of a Bradshaw? 4 for 4, right? And I think Aikman, like, does he deserve the?
When we start getting into different eras, like, is that how do we?
But that's the whole thing.
How do we do that?
It's a GOAT of the greatest of all time. Yeah. So it opens it up to that discussion, right? I think.
Well, for the longest time, it was Brady and Montana. Remember those years? Like, we don't forget that anymore, because he blew past him. Now he has 7 to Montana's 4. But Mahomes there being 3 out of 4. This was the year that you had to beat them.
Right.
This was the year. Their defense was the star of that game. Like, Chris Jones was the star of that game.
Correct.
His receivers, Travis Kelce's getting a little long in the tooth. Like, what happens going forward? If they were able to re-up and get some receivers for him, I don't know. How are the Niners? You see in Vegas, they're the favorites next year?
Yeah.
How is that possible?
Isn't that odd? I found that very, very odd, almost disrespectful to the Chiefs in a way. And you're right, because they were stripped, and I'm talking about the Kansas City team, their offense, stripped of guys like Hill, who were difference makers in terms of a wide receiver. And you know what? The regular season was bumpy for the Chiefs. There were times they weren't even sure if they would be like the lowest seed in terms of a wild card, or where they would be. But
they lost 5 of 8. They lost 5 of 8 games.
Sure.
We were writing them off. And you see that, too, once the star quarterback gets paid the big bucks. You know what I mean? But they were still able to get around it, because that star quarterback is Patrick Mahomes.
They had to beat Miami in one of the coldest games in NFL history. They had to go into Buffalo, which is not easy, and you had to go into Baltimore, and you beat the likes of Allen and the guy who's going to who's won the MVP. So you got to give him his flowers, but I'm not ready to call him the greatest of all time.
No. That's too early. But he has that. He has that winning mentality, which is so hard to have. Like Brock Purdy, he played pretty well, to be honest. Yeah. You know what I mean? But I don't know if he has what Patrick Mahomes has. You know what I mean?
Right. And that'll develop over time. We'll find out more about Purdy, and you're right. His story was incredible. And had they won, what an incredible story. He becomes the next Kurt Warner of the National Football League. Okay. All right. This is real sensitive. I can't believe this is as sensitive a topic as it actually has become. Travis Kelce, Taylor Swift, the shots on during the game, the makeout session after winning the Super Bowl. Do you care about this couple? You know, her coming from Tokyo. Do you care? Do you not care? Are you indifferent to it all?
I found the Super Bowl, they didn't show her as much as I thought they would show her. Did you notice that?
Well, the over-under, I had to look this up, and you know I don't gamble, was 5.5. It blew,
5.5 times?
5.5 times was the over-under, and it blew past it.
Okay.
It blew past it. I believe it was like 12 times during the game, and then plenty times after the game.
You know, and here's why you know it was going to happen, because the ratings have come out, and you look at those ratings, both here in Canada and in the United States, of record ratings for Super Bowl. And I can look at the party that I had at my house, which has become an annual thing, year 22 and going, still a strong turnout. We had about 20 adults and then 20 kids, because those adults that have been coming all those years now have kids. And the kids, who do the kids want to be seeing? They want to be seeing Taylor Swift. They had an interest in watching the game because they want to see Taylor Swift and how many times she's going to be on. I don't have a problem with it. I don't care, because as a lover of sports and a lover of big games like the Super Bowl, where everybody can come together and enjoy a sport and the storylines that take place, I'm totally fine with it.
You're right. It's hard to argue this, because is it great for sports? Is it great for the National Football League? Of course it is. Is it great for the television network, which in this term was CBS? Of course it is. But I think it's a little obsessive, don't you think? Do you even remember? And one of the things I always love about football, like really compared to any other sport, is watching the fan shots. Like watching go to a Bills game. You've been to a Bills game. You've watched Bills games. The fans are crazy. They do wild things. They're having a great time. I don't remember one shot of the fans in that entire Super Bowl.
Because they couldn't afford a ticket. That's a whole other thing.
Other than LeBron. I mean, yeah, you're right. They showed the shots of, there was one portion they showed Jay-Z, Beyonce. They showed all the stars.
Yeah.
Other than that, they were dominant by, Travis has got it. Do we have to have a shot of her reaction after every 5-yard reception?
Yeah. I can understand your take on that. I don't have an issue with it, because it is just bringing in more people into the big game. But yeah, it's not going anywhere. It's not going anywhere, because it equals money, and we all know Raj and the crew, they like money.
They love money. Will they get married? They actually do. They actually look like there's something there.
Yeah, I don't know. They seem to like each other. I seem to have a crush on Jason Kelce. Goodness, how great is that guy? Yeah. Did you see him at the party after the after party?
He was
with the wrestling match mask on.
It's all fun for him.
City, good.
All fun and games. And I don't know. Has he officially retired yet?
I think he's retired.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Let's stay on the football tip here, and let's go to the Canadian game. In our area, obviously dominated by the likes of the Hamilton Tiger Cats. Today is the beginning official day of free agency. So we had this free agent period where you could actually talk to players, you could negotiate deals, but they could not become official until this day. We have not heard of any of the pre-signed Tiger Cat players that have turned down contracts or changed their minds. So this is going to be a pretty different team. One person that has not been signed, who is sitting there on the sidelines and can be courted by any other team at this point, folks, is number 21, the soon-to-be Hall of Fame linebacker for the Hamilton Tiger Cats, Simoni Lawrence. Not signed. Your thoughts?
Ooh, man, he is black and gold. He bleeds black and gold. For Simoni not to be a member of the Ticats, I don't even know what that would mean. On the other side, I love Simoni. I love what he does for the community. I love what he does for the city. I love his investment in community and in charitable organizations and his energy. He's been on this couch with me many times. It's amazing to try and encapsulate what his enthusiasm, not only for football but just for life. Mm-hmm. They didn't win though, and when you're not winning, now granted he had a great season last year.
Yep.
If he had a tough season like the year before in 22, okay, I can maybe see maybe it's time to move on. He had a good season, but maybe Ed Hervey is looking at the situation and saying, who are maybe some other guys that can get us past where we were for the past couple of years? If that happens, you get messages, I get messages all the time about why have they not signed Simoni? And that might be a more casual fan, which is fine too. That's going back to the Taylor Swift stuff. The more people that have eyeballs on the Ticats, the better. And he does bring in an audience that are not football fans. So I wonder if that's a factor involved in this.
It's tough. You're right, but there's also something, and I know he was in here sitting right where you are, and just he's in great shape.
Yeah.
But he's also 36 years old, and I know we had these questions. You talked about Tom Brady and he was one that defied for the longest time, and eventually it does get you. Father Time gets you eventually, but some a little quicker and a little slower than others. And there is that Bill Belichick thought of getting rid of a guy 1 year prior to when you think he's got nothing left, where maybe he has some value. Well, obviously the Tiger Cats, he's a free agent right now, so he could go to the highest bidder right now. If he does not get signed by the Tiger Cats, my worst fear, my absolute, you know what I'm saying here, is if he wears number 21 in the double blue. That will, hey, I'm a Bills fan. Thurman Thomas ended his career with the Miami Dolphins. Yes, folks, if you didn't know that. Bruce Smith with the Washington, he got the all-time sacks record as a member of the Washington then Redskins. Eventually, Joe Montana, Kansas City Chiefs, not the 49ers. Pro sports, and this happens sometimes, and I just kind of have a feeling right now because it's
connection to the area,
his connection to the area, his play on the field, his wanting to be here. You don't get, I mean, there's a lot of athletes out there. You and I have covered athletes for years, and to the highest bidder we go. This guy wants to be here, right? And he was willing to take a pay cut. He's been very vocal about that. He took a pay cut to be here the year before. And to not be here just doesn't seem right.
Oh, man. There's a spot for him.
I think. But he wants to start. And I don't know if the new general manager, who really has no allegiance to him, his job is to put together the best team he believes that he can put together. So we'll find.
What did he say? Hervey said? There
was a saying that I'd read, and I'm paraphrasing here, that basically that you know what, it's great to have great guys in the area that are great community guys, and in that sense, but this team hasn't won in 25 years.
Yeah.
And it really does boil down to that, folks. No Grey Cups since 1999. We're coming up on the 25th year anniversary of a team in a 9-team league, sometimes 8, that have not won a Grey Cup. It's baffling. Do the math. I don't know what the percentages are there. It just shouldn't happen. Raptors. Gone from a championship team to a bunch of no faces, except for a couple and the likes of R.J. Barrett, Scotty Barnes. They played the likes of the San Antonio Spurs last night. He walks off the court. Embarrassing loss to the Spurs. Scotty Barnes, all-star player, supposedly the new leader. And what I'm concerned about is when you look at the track record of what's happened since the championship years, and I know there was COVID after, so you give them a free pass. Do you still believe in Masai and putting together a winning team?
Ooh, I don't know if they're putting I'm worried about Scotty Barnes. I just don't know if I think he's not the guy. Listen, he has all the talent in the world, and I know he's still young. I know he's only in year 3, but at this point, it's just inconsistencies and taking plays off and walking off early after getting blown out by super rookie Victor Wembanyama. There's just, you see a lot of good in him, and then you see, let's say, last night where it was not as good, held under. I think he had 9 points. He did have 7 rebounds and 7 assists. So he overall a good all-around player. But is he the guy to motivate the team going forward? I'm always interested when Fred talked about the team last year. There was friction somewhere.
Clearly.
And who was it? I don't know. He won championships with the other guys.
Yep.
Is it with those guys, or was it this new crop that's coming in?
I think
headlined by.
I think he actually said that there was. I don't know if he used the word friction, but there was something between the younger guys and the championship guys.
Yeah.
He said that.
Yeah.
And you know what? In some ways, Siakam, who we're going to see in a couple of days in a new uniform in Toronto, he's alluded to it as well.
Yeah, I'm worried that they're going to be bad for a long time. You know what I mean? Because even if you look back to, we're going back to like when Masai first came, there was some luck involved in how things rolled. Remember, like he was trading Kyle Lowry. He was trading them to the Knicks, and James Dolan nixed that trade. You know what I mean? So then that kept Lowry here, which kind of propelled the organization. There was just a number of moves that worked out really well in the Raptors' favored. You do need that. You need talent, which a lot of teams have talents. You need persistency, and you need a little bit of luck. So now going forward, it's going to be a youth movement for a long time. I do like some of the pieces, like RJ Barrett, great.
Yep.
I like Kelly Olynyk, cool.
Yeah. Expiring contract. He's going to be gone at the end of the year.
You think so? I think they'll resign him.
I hope so.
I think he'll.
It would be nice. It would be nice. Toronto guy ending his career in Toronto.
Yeah.
That's what you know what I mean? Like getting a bunch of scrap pieces, right? Like, and you're right. That's when you got a championship team and you're able to pick and choose a couple of guys that you think that'll get you over the top. But that's not the situation here right now. Like it's like, I mean, look at, I hate to look at it, but do it. Do the work, folks. Do the research. Look at Masai's draft picks over the years.
Yeah.
I mean, other than Scotty Barnes, that Bruno Caboclo, like there, you could go on and on with the people that have been drafted in his tenure, and they haven't been great. And you're right. There's luck along the way, and there's bad draft picks along the way in every general manager and president's career. But I'm getting a little concerned right now where this team is and how long. I don't want to wait 10, 15 years for this team to be like we did before because we hadn't tasted victory before.
But you need the one guy. You need the one guy and then other guys that
Who was Kawhi?
I know. And there's one guy in the league right now that we all watch and we all love. I talk about him every day when he plays.
Me too.
And that's the guy from this
But it's
town.
not happening.
I know that's not happening.
Yeah.
I know, but but to see where he's come from. We're talking about Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, and we like he started with the Clippers, and then he got traded to OKC, and then he really started to spread his wings. And what he's doing right now, and it's going to be really exciting this weekend as a starter for the Western Conference. Like that is saying something. He's putting, now that Embiid is out for most of the regular season.
He's going to get votes.
He's going to get votes for MVP, which is saying something. So if he can keep his consistency going. So that's the only thing that I'm liking. Yeah, the Raptors have, we have to talk about them. I'm fine to talk about them, but I like talking about Shea and OKC. They've become the second team that we're really
And just going to your point there about being a Raptor, there was a time there because the Thunder were no good. Like they were not a good team. But you credit to their general manager, he has stockpiled, I believe, 18 number one picks, and his team already blossoming the first round picks. Like it's to the point now where Shea is actually the captain, the leader, the old guy on the team, and I think he's only 26 years old, but because he got all these young crop of 22, 23-year-olds that are right behind him, and this team is blossoming, and they've been flirting with 1 and 2 in the West Conference all season long, and they're going to be a high seed team that really they could stun some people and get to a Final Four.
Yeah.
Right? But it would have been nice to see that happen because I thought maybe for a time, I'm like, well, OKC is going to be bad. Maybe the Raptors can make something happen and get him here. I don't think it's happening.
So quickly, like Scotty's going to the All-Star game too. So I don't know, maybe going there and seeing playing with some great players. He just more consistency we need from him.
Final thing that I want to get to you, and I know this. I mean, again, I used to watch you in the morning at this time when this was going on, and I know the Leafs are probably your team if you had to pick one, but this
They're
really,
not actually.
Okay. Well, this is. I think I'm right here. This really seemed to bother you, the Blue Jays, and the way that season ended last year. Mm-hmm. And what we're going into for 2024. What's your level of optimism for the Toronto Blue Jays?
You never win a World Series in the off season. So yes, there is a lot of hyperbole and a lot of worry for the Blue Jays. We have to think they do have a good team. Okay, so they're coming off. Their starting rotation. It's not going to be good as it was last year. Best in the league.
It's phenomenal.
Phenomenal. You still have all those starters back. Starting pitching is key. You got a good bullpen. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I know from season to season, bullpens change. Mm-hmm. Pitchers change. The inconsistencies within a bullpen. The bullpen is okay. Am I worried about the offense? Yes, I'm worried about the offense. But I think Vladdy can rebound and have a season, maybe not as good as his when he came in second in the MVP. That was, how many years ago was that now?
3 years ago.
3 years ago,
yeah.
Right now. And you never want to see a player going to arbitration. You get a little bit worried about that because that's never good where the team is telling you how you're not good.
Yeah.
That's not good, which is supposed to be your star player. But I think he has some pressure on him this year to kind of produce after a couple of subpar seasons. So I think he's going to be coming through. And then you got Bo, and you got Turner, and you got some other pieces there. Now,
okay,
why is everybody upset? We all know why we're upset.
Well, because
it didn't happen.
Yeah, it didn't happen.
Okay, but we have to get over that. It's not going to happen. I can't even. Shohei Ohtani was hitting bombs at spring. I can't watch that. Mm-hmm. I can't be focused on that. Luckily, he plays out west, right, so I don't see those games because Blue Jays fans, you can't be watching Shohei Ohtani and saying what the possibility that it could have been. You're going to drive yourself nuts.
And it's crazy because I talked to so many people in baseball who are so close to the situation. And for the longest time, I was like, this is the biggest smoke-blowing thing that the Blue Jays have ever did. They're never going to be in on this guy. They're not going to get him. But these people have told me to a man and to a woman as well that this was real. Like the Blue Jays were a serious consideration for Shohei to come here. Like it was down to the Dodgers and the Blue Jays.
I didn't want to talk about it.
Yeah.
I didn't want to talk about it because I was the same as you. Like this isn't real.
Yeah.
You're just using the Blue Jays.
Yep.
Which they did in the end. Right. They did do that in the end.
Yeah, yep.
And we all knew that was. But then you're hearing all like that crazy Friday when everybody's tracking planes and
you know what?
You think there's a possibility
I'm so embarrassed of my behavior that day.
So was I, but we're sports fans.
And I'm tweeting the plane is now flying over Hamilton.
I know.
The plane has landed.
It's enthusiasm. That's why, again, back to sports, the storylines that we get to cover that we want to talk about.
But this was a fake.
I know.
It was a guy
Even fake storylines are fun.
He was the guy from Dragon's Den.
Harkovic or whatever his name is.
What a killer. Who's your third baseman, though? That's what I'm concerned about this. Yeah. I know Atkins says, I'm really enthused with this lineup. Well, you kind of lost some people and really haven't. I don't know who the third baseman is.
Who do you want? I don't like Cody Bellinger is like somebody that's still out there. I don't want to be paying $200 million.
Too much money.
Cody Bellinger. You know what I mean? Like maybe there's opportunities within. Yeah. Maybe we can see how they are. And go from there. There are some guys that can play third. Matt Chapman's still out there. Right. You know what I mean? And I don't know if we want Matt Chapman back for that type of money too.
But there are guys that can play third baseman, but they're all part. I mean, Vladdy could play third baseman, but it's a bunch of that. It's a bunch of guys that can play third. I just don't know who your starter is, for crying out loud. I don't know. I know. Hey, wow, pitchers and catchers. I think
Thursday. I just looked. So enthusiasm. So it is fun.
Yeah.
So bring it on. And there is nothing better than baseball, the boys of summer. I do love baseball because we normally there's not a long playoff run from that other team. So that's why we look forward to it so much.
I know. You know what, though? I know it. When the Leafs get into the playoffs, you're going to be right there.
Totally,
You're going to be right. You're going to be right there on the edge.
Here's the thing, too.
Right there on the edge.
I'm breeding my kids into being Leaf fans. I'm breeding losers. What am I doing?
Why are you doing this?
I don't know. Because of the slight possibility that it happens at some point.
Isn't your brother a Sens fan?
Oh,
Go
no,
there.
My brother-in-law is a Sens fan because he's from Ottawa. Yeah.
This has been great, dude.
Thanks, buddy.
Thank you so much
thanks,
for joining
man.
me.
Yeah, congrats on the show. It's doing really, really well.
Yeah, I appreciate
good
it.
to see you, dude.
All right, my man. Hey, that's your Sportsline podcast for the day. And as you've just seen and heard, we love talking sports. And if you do know of an athlete or someone, a team or an event to promote the Sportsline podcast, do want to hear from you. Please hit that like and thumbs up, subscribe button. And if you certainly do have something to say, just like Tim, please comment. For the wonderful people that make the Sportsline podcast possible, thank you so much. And we'll see you tomorrow.